It's another Summer League edition of Clips and Dip. I'm your host, Adam Auslund. No Will, no Chuck, no clipping. I don't know. And if you're taking that as like, oh, the Clipper's going to clip type thing. No, that's not what I meant by that. The audio clipping last time out. And it looks like we are live. I just checked it. So the chat, got it all figured out now, technology wise. Some were calling me the old guy, the old man, trying to figure this thing out as I was Friday night, working through it. As the Clippers won by almost an identical score as they did today in this victory, another one for the Clippers over Brooklyn. Final score 87-78. Friday night against Denver, it was 88-78 Clippers. So a lot to get into here, actually. As I did more of a deep dive, I also listened to the Lab, the Jam, the podcast with our friends Dr. Shap and Lucas Han, our boss, as they also reviewed the last game. I don't know if anybody else is reacting to this one live. Ooh, Coach D Sports Review says, "What's up, Adam?" Someone else called me a boomer because I couldn't figure out the technology here. I'm pretty good with technology. I hadn't done this yet. I hadn't hosted as much. I think I did once when Kawhi Leonard signed the new contract extension in January, maybe. But the Clippers come through once again, trending towards making the Summer League playoff right now. Someone's asking best Clippers Summer League since the Shea year. I'd say so far. Remember, you play 4 games now in the Summer League, and after that, 4 teams of the 30 go into a playoff. There's a semifinal on the 21st, and then the championship game on the 22nd. So one of the deciding factors, of course, if there's too many teams that go 4-0, I believe the tiebreaker comes down to point differential. And right now, the Clippers have won a game by 10 and a game by 9. So they're plus 19 in point differential. If you're a sick man like me, or like JJ Redick said he was the other day, and you care about these things, and you're a hooper, and you will watch any Clippers basketball you can get your hands on, and I actually think there's a lot to kind of sink your teeth into here with this victory by the Clippers, where it wasn't, an outstanding highlight performance like the 36 points we saw Friday night against Denver by Jordan Miller. It was a more balanced game from the Clippers with some bounce back performances and some more encouraging signs, I'd say, overall here. And once again, if audio is clipping, I want to know this time before. I have to figure that out later. If the audio sounds good, just let me know and don't lie about it. I'm trying to see what I did wrong last time out. I think I just had too many tabs open. Maybe having the YouTube tab open was sucking up too much bandwidth here. Kevin Richards says, all good, who called me the boomer. All good, Adam. On my way over there, then you, but not quite a boomer. Oh, okay. He's trending that way too, getting a little bit older. Audio is good right now. I think it was just having a YouTube tab open. But now we're actually fully operational when you and your friends arrive. Okay, so the Clippers come through with a victory. They're 2-0. Final score was 87-78. Clippers over the Brooklyn Nets. Our old friend Keon Johnson, I think, got things started in this ball game. Remember, he had the game winner Friday night for Brooklyn against Indiana as we were waiting for that Clippers game to tip off. They went into overtime, I believe, and Brooklyn was down by as many as 21 in that ball game. Clippers got up early in this one thanks to the 3-ball. I think they were 7 of 11 from 3 in the first quarter. Just 10-minute quarters in the Summer League as they let things mercifully come to an end a little bit earlier. Shout out Petros and Money Show, where I'll be helping out this week. Daniel said was not expecting Jordan Miller to be a foul merchant. A grifter? Is that what you're calling him? I just think he's aggressive going downhill. And maybe we can jump off from that point then to follow up with Jordan Miller's performance with the 36 points and the 6 3-pointers Friday night. In this one, 21 points. Only attempted 1 3-pointer. That was interesting to me. He was just 4 of 12 from the field. So to the point here of him getting to the free throw line early and often, he went 13 of 13 from the charity stripe. Okay. I didn't see a lot of CP3 rip-through type moves trying to foul bait and get the refs to call it. He was just in a downhill attack mode really from the outset. He had a tough layup early. Again, in the second quarter going downhill, he was on the court prone, I don't know, 3 or 4 different times in this. He wasn't always rewarded with the foul, but this attacking aggressive mentality is, I guess, what he's been doing in the G League, which I shouldn't write off. And maybe I downplayed it, not talking about it enough in the last show on Friday night after their first summer league game, just because, I've seen Brandon Boston, what he was able to do in the G League, Mr. 46. I've seen so many guys go off there and then it doesn't translate necessarily. But, you got to go case by case basis. And I looked into a little bit more, and I heard this from Dr. Schaap on the Lob the Jam the pod as well, of what Jordan Miller was doing last year in the G League for the Clippers. And the numbers are pretty outstanding. He was 8th in points per game in the G League out of everybody. Just 22.5 points per game, 30 minutes per game, 23 G League games. Didn't play much in the big leagues for the Clippers. 48% from the field, just 30% from 3 on 4.5 attempts per game. So he was making about a 3.5 or 1.4 threes per game. So what happened Friday night, was it just a hot game? He was feeling it early on from distance, and that isn't exactly representative of who he is as a player yet. To be determined, a lot of these guys, everything's inconclusive. That's why I think it's so fun to watch the Summer League. You have this mix of guys from Europe playing. We saw Bannon from Australia, 51 for the Clippers, played a little bit better in this game, helped him out a little bit in the fourth quarter, struggled overall. But then you have guys straight out of college, like we're seeing with Cam Christie, more on him in a little bit. And then you have guys that are a year in or 2 years in or 3 years in. They're in the G League playing in Summer League. So it's this term I used recently, a potpourri, a mix of different guys coming together. And ultimately it leads to, bad brand of basketball typically. But I feel like the Clippers so far, there's been a trend the last 2 games. Their defense, as the head coach of the Summer League team, Dante Jones, their defense ramps up late. They put the clamps on. And they are playing to win. And it looks like they have, I don't know, maybe an understanding from the head coaching staff and from what the Clippers are trying to establish with the big squad this year is more of a defensive identity. They seem to take a lot of pride in their defense. Yes, we also saw DJ Rodman, Dennis Rodman's son, on the squad. Early on, airballed a three-pointer late in the fourth quarter when he came in during, I guess, garbage time in Summer League, which typically takes place during all 40 minutes, you could say. But I think these games by the Clippers were actually decently played overall. They were hot from 3 early on. They cooled off after that, but there was some connectivity there, some chemistry being built. But DJ Rodman ended up getting to the foul line, I want to say late for his first points. He went 1 of 2. Got a couple of rebounds. Rodman, as you would expect, got a couple of boards. He had the platinum blondes. I don't know if this is because the new Eminem album or because his dad is Dennis Rodman. I'm going to lean there, but the hair coloring, you couldn't miss him. Also, I don't know if this means his mom is Madonna or Carmen Electra. I don't believe so. But played at USC with Bronny James last year. Before that was in Washington. He got 2 minutes and 40 seconds of run late in the ball game. But back to Jordan Miller, finishing with those 21 points. 13 of those points came at the free throw line. 5 boards, had another really big offensive rebound late where I think he got fouled and then went back to the free throw line. I'm seeing a really good second bounce from him. Jordan Miller has more athleticism and is, I don't know, showing a little bit more athletic ability than I saw last season. That's a good sign. Just more confidence overall. Everything is getting downhill and getting to the basket. You saw the 3-ball fall for him early Friday night and then continued to take threes from the outside in that game. He only took 1. 0 of 1 from distance. Said, I'm good. I'm going to go back to my bread and butter. Getting after it in transition, where Tim Legler, who was on the call, which made this game a little bit more special to me, one of my favorite analysts in the game, the only analyst on ESPN, you could say. Everybody else just hot take artists. Ugh, annoying. But Tim Legler really highlighted the fact that his acceleration to deceleration as he's getting closer to the rim for guys then defenders to blow by him as he slows down is special. And he's going to have to really show something in different areas like that, especially to get an opportunity at this level this season. Coach D's Sports Review says, Jordan seems to play very tall and athletic. Yeah, he's listed at 6'5", 6'6", but he's so long and lanky. He looks taller than that. He looks 6'8", 6'9" out there at times. Of course, level of competition matters. You don't want to overly hype up anything from the Summer League. But as I mentioned Friday night, if you're criticizing some guys and poor performances in the Summer League, I think it's fair to go the other way when guys are thriving. And that's what we're seeing right now, following up that 36-point game, a 21-point performance. Very solid from Jordan Miller. He's been one of the best players in Summer League so far. So maybe following up and carrying over what we saw, and, you know, I don't know how much you saw of it. I didn't see a ton, but the way he was playing in the G League seems to be happening right now in the Summer League too. He's going right back to where he was, and maybe all that confidence was built up from being that good in the G League last season, that seasoning that he had. But I just like, you know, in the fourth, he had a transition layup, and I think I pulled the clip and put it at Follow Adam A on X, on Twitter, where you can see just the control, the body control. After a hard sprint to the basket with the basketball, he's then able to slow down and to not blow the layup or smoke the layup, but actually get himself composed. And composure has been big from him so far in the Summer League, and get an easy layup to go. It's not nothing. I think that is a big takeaway from what we're seeing right now in Jordan Miller, and what parts of his game can be useful in the NBA right away. Young guys getting in transition and playing that Amir Coffey type of role like we've seen with the Clippers over the years, you know, that's just something, it's a need for this Clippers team, more athleticism, more pop, more transition basketball. And Jordan Miller, we'll see. But so far in the Summer League and the G League, that's been happening for him. And that was something people did identify early on last season. It looks like he's smooth in transition. He also had a play, as we start to talk about some of the other guys in this ball game after the Clippers win over the Brooklyn Nets in Summer League game number 2 here. This is Clips and Dip. I'm Adam Auslund. But after Kobe Brown had a nice defensive play where he stood up, went vertical, and got the block at the basket with about 3 minutes left in the game, it was Jordan Miller leading the break in transition, lost the basketball, then picked it back up and had a nice no-look feed to Kobe Brown for the throwdown. And yes, on X, I put it was Jordan to Kobe for the dunk. You have to. How can you resist? Love seeing that. Both of those young guys that we expected, with their ages being 24, to really lead this Summer League team, it's happened. Because after, I want to say he had just 13 points, or maybe it was 4 of 13 shooting Friday night, Kobe Brown was much better. I told you Friday after he went 0 of 7 from 3, I expected him to make 2 threes the next game. Well, let's see. 2 of 4 from distance. And they both came early on, as the Clippers kind of had an onslaught from distance. But he had, in back-to-back possessions, a couple of threes from Kobe Brown. I believe they were both on the left wing, too. Kind of found his shooting stroke there. Then he had a quick move on the baseline where he just destroyed his defender, who was a little bit undersized, as Kobe Brown is a big player. Especially, I know his height's not there. He's listed as 6'6", 6'7", but he's got some pounds on him. And his defender went flying behind the stanchion. Initially, they called it a foul on his defender. They reviewed it. Brooklyn won that challenge. Offensive foul on Kobe Brown. Off arm was hooking him a little bit. But you see the power, the strength there, the physicality. he has an NBA body. There's no denying that, and showed off some of that strength. But he then had some turnovers. But then in the third quarter, an and one in the third, nice play. And then that play late off the pass from Jordan Miller that helped put this game away, and one more where it was pretty much Kobe going down the right alley to the basket for a layup late. That really helped put this one away for the Clippers, as it seemed like Brooklyn still had confidence of that big comeback they had against Indiana in their first summer league game, and they were nipping at the Clippers' heels and making them have to run through the tape a little bit. Shout out C. Webb and Kenny Smith there. So I thought it was a much better game overall from Kobe Brown, more in control, didn't take a ton of shots, 5 of 7, 13 points, but 6 boards, some nice defensive plays, still 4 turnovers, couple of assists. He had a nice pass. I forget who that was to. It was kind of a no-look pass, and the player was fouled after. I don't think it was Moussa Diabate, who finished with just 2 points. I felt like Moussa early on was playing really good defense. He finished at just 16 minutes out there. So didn't get as much run, but had some nice defensive possessions, had a one-on-one showdown with Keon Johnson at the basket, initially got him to miss, and then Keon Johnson got it back with those pogo sticks that he has for his leaping ability, and eventually got it in and over Moussa Diabate. But he had some nice defensive plays early on, staying in front of his man, getting his hands up, redirecting shots in the paint. Didn't get credited with a block, but I felt like his defense was pretty sound on the interior. Again, just 16 minutes for Moussa Diabate, who I think is one of the more long shots to really get minutes this season. I'm rooting for the guy, but with Kai Jones, who's not playing right now with an ankle injury, and Mo Bamba being picked up by the Clippers, it's just not going to be easy to crack the rotation in the front line for these Clippers. Coach D Sports Review says, how do I? Oh, I could put it up. Look at it. I have the technology. I think the Nets weren't letting Jordan shoot in the corner today because of his shooting last game. They did run him off the line a couple of times, and that's how he attacked those closeouts. So, yeah, astute observation there. Let's hear from Jeremy Mormon. Clippers defense getting me excited for the regular season. Well, I don't think we'll ever see the 5-man groupings we've seen in Summer League in the regular season at any point. I don't care how much garbage time there is. Some of these guys are just not going to be on the squad, two-way or not. But there does seem to be an emphasis on that end right now of closing out games, as Jordan Miller said it in his courtside interview Friday night. You know, we can win this one by playing defense. So it just seems like that's where the coaching is at right now. They're trying to establish their DNA on that end. What else do we got here? Jay, Kobe Brown, Jordan Miller, and Diabate need more minutes on the main team. Their defense has been incredible. Again, you got to consider level of competition. But they've been good at this level so far. More from Jay. Diabate and Brown are so athletic for bigs. We are running these other teams out the summer league full court D with bigs. God, there was a great play where late Brooklyn's trying to get back into it. They trapped Jordan Miller in the backcourt, who ended up finding DJ Rodman to get out of it. I thought it might end up in a turnover, or he could have, got a little too sped up, but there was nice composure there from Jordan Miller and then breaking the press. Also good to see. All right, let's move on to our next player to talk about. And the jumping off point can be this from Mike Dang. Cam has a beautiful jump shot. We need a game where we run JJ Redick plays for him just to see it. JJ Redick plays, or Paul George plays with some of those pin downs he was talking about after the first season under Doc Rivers. Okay, moving on. I only had to mention his name once so far. I still have love for Paul George. I completely understand taking the max and going to Philly. Cam Christie. I have been, since the tape came out on him, granted, I didn't watch him at all. I can't remember watching a Gophers game in college. But he turns 19 in 10 days. They got one of the youngest guys in the draft, and the shot immediately pops out and stands out to you. It's just a thing of beauty. It's art. Tim Legler was taken aback by how beautiful his shot was. I said immediately it looked like Michael Porter Jr. to me. Now I'm thinking, to be more accurate with it, the comp is somewhere between Michael Porter Jr. and Devin Booker with his shooting stroke for Cam Christie. In this game, he couldn't find any rhythm early on. He took a nice step back midi that was short, then forced another one that was an ill-advised tough shot in the first half. Then had an offensive foul. He just looked at it. The timing was off. The rhythm was off. Then he hit a three off of a beautiful RayJ Dennis pass where he got by his defender, collapsed the defense, threw it over the top of Cam Christie's defender, who ended up knocking down a near side corner three. More on RayJ Dennis a little bit. But that was his first and it ended up being his only make in this ball game. No, because he'd hit one more three-pointer, that's right, in the second half. But the fact that he was stuck in mud offensively and had no feel for the ball game and then had the confidence to just raise up and put in that three-pointer, I love seeing that from Cam Christie. Then he has a deep three to start the third, so his other shot was early in the third quarter. Legler was praising the shot afterwards, who was on the call. Color commentator. Was awesome to have him talking Clippers basketball. But that shot after he gave up the basketball and they gave it right back to him, top of the arc, that three-pointer, kind of a bailout. Shot clock was running down, was able to create for himself a step-back three. I mean, it looks like he could rise and get his shot above anybody at this level. I don't want to, there's guys like Herb Jones and stuff who can block that shot, but it looks like something that will work at the NBA level. His three-point shot now, right now. The problem is, does he have the other tools that you need to play with the big boys at the NBA level? As people are saying, commentating and saying, yeah, 10 days away from being 19. He's still 18 years of age. Is this going to be our Jason Tatum? He's still just 19. If you know, you know. So what you're looking for from Cam is to do some of the little things then. We know he has to fill out. He will. But he's very thin but lanky, long. And after that three-pointer that he hit to start the third quarter today, he locked a dude up. He was competing on defense and caused a turnover. And then he had another steal, staying with his man, sliding his feet, getting his long arms out there and getting deflections. That's what you want to see. Just compete on that end. Use your body. The length that he possesses, pause. He does have an NBA type of body to him that could end up, being a 2 or a 3 in this league comfortably, I think, once he really grows into it. But we hear all the time, there's a defensive mentality you have to have. Man, I was impressed in this game. I don't know if he's got that dog in him. I don't know about all those things. He did get blocked on one end. It was reviewed. It was a clean block. Went for a dunk after a nice feed on the interior to him. But if Cam Christie can do those little things and defend, he could play sooner than later. Coach D Sports Review says, and I don't know if he's saying can or Cam plays good defense for an 18-year-old. I think Tim said he had 3 deflections today. Yeah, he did. He was creating turnovers. He was taking the challenge. If you look at the way he digs in defensively, or at least did on a few possessions, I should say, in this game. There's something Doc Rivers used to always say, and I thought it was very on point. But when what you do best isn't working, how else can you help the team? Well, he wasn't having a great game shooting-wise. Only had 6 points, those 2 3-pointers, 2 of 8 from the floor. But he found other ways to make winning plays. Something to that. His brother was there watching, and Max Christie. I don't know. If you go back I don't know if you've heard me on the F&A podcast or AM 570. I've talked about Max Christie for a while and how much I liked his game and thought he should have gotten more minutes last year with the Lakers. Darvin Ham didn't want to give it to him. So is it too early to say he has that pedigree? Well, his brother's at least in the league. We don't know how good he'll be yet, but I like what we're seeing from the Christie brothers. Not sons of Doug Christie, to my knowledge. Mr. Mueller, 1. Only issue with Christie, which isn't his fault, is he's too young. I don't know if he would get any playing time this season unless it's garbage time. Not going to be easy. I still, we're waiting for some type of consolidation with this Clippers lineup. They have a lot of guards right now. I'm still expecting some type of move here. The roster's not set. It hasn't crystallized yet. So we'll see. Mike Dang, between Harden, Norm, and Miller, and minus PG, maybe we can finally get consistent calls. And Paul George never got a great whistle. Jordan Miller getting 13 free throws in this game. A much better whistle. Norm, does he get a great whistle? He definitely foul baits and does that rip through move and tries to get some love. Maybe if he was top 3 and 6 man of the year voting, they'd give him a little bit more respect out there, but somehow he was left off of it, Norm Powell, last season. Jay, Cam's defense looks better than his offense so far, even though his shooting is pretty nice. Even when he misses, it looks good. He airballs, and I'm like, damn, that's a beautiful stroke. Shooting stroke. He looks good. Like, it's real. I thought he rushed one. I think it was the end of a shot clock late in the second half. But overall, I'm just not that concerned about it. Again, he started slow. Everything was off, and he still knocked down that 3 in the near side corner. Off a feed from the love of RayJ Dennis. RayJ Dennis, who had a 3 early on himself, knocked down a couple early on. I believe both of them came in the second quarter. You might add one in the first quarter, too, is just an onslaught of threes were going down for the Clippers. I didn't talk about him much last game. He had what Chuck and Will would say is a meaty box score. He didn't score a ton, I think single digits, but he had a triple single, I believe. Had, I want to say, 8 assists Friday night, some boards too. RayJ Dennis, so this is interesting. Started at Boise State, then was at Toledo, then last year finished up as a 5th-year senior at Baylor. And while some of his numbers dropped, his scoring numbers, he went from, I think, 19 per game his last season in Toledo to 13 a game last year for Baylor. Some of the shooting percentages, 3-point percentage went down a little bit. He was still all Big 12. He still was good. And he has, a real sense and feel for the game out there. You talk about a guy in control. I know he had 3 turnovers to 3 assists. He was much better than that Friday night. But there were plays where he was reading the game really well out there. And he finished with 10 points, 3 of 8 shooting, knocked down. Okay, so all 3 of his makes were from beyond the arc. RayJ Dennis. I don't know. He wasn't somebody that was really on my radar Friday night, but seeing him back up, really 2 solid performances, I'd say, overall, where he came back into this game late, I think, to take control of it a little bit more because they just needed a more traditional floor general, someone to get them into their sets. I've enjoyed watching RayJ Dennis. Who do we got here? Rock Falsey. Adam wanted to say pause or no Diddy so bad. Good comment on that. I think I said pause earlier about something. Mike Dang, I'm calling it now. Cam hits 5 of 7 threes next game. I mean, I called Kobe Brown hitting 2 threes in this one. Why not? Call your shot, Clipper Nation. You're on Clips and Dip, which I know some people are freaking out that I'm doing a live tweet of the game, a thread of the play-by-play, or some of it at least, and it's Summer League. I'll take any Clippers basketball I can get. I love it all. Here's another one from Rock. Wonder if there's any weight to the Tyus Jones stuff, as Chris Dunn still seems to be a target. I should talk about that because somebody paid the $4.99 to ask me that question. I realized when I went back and watched the clipping that was going on, the audio issues of the last show Friday night. And somebody did pay for me to answer that, so I should probably get to it here. I really like Tyus Jones. If there's a way to get Tyus Jones, you get Tyus Jones, period. Obviously, they'd be working with Michael Winger in D.C. They'd have to do some type of sign-in trade. Michael Winger, former GM of the Clippers, now with the Washington Wizards. But I don't know what you'd have to give up to get him. That's a team that is in a full rebuild. But Tyus Jones is not only a consistent bucket, he's kind of Malcolm Brogdon with a little more juice and a younger version. Not the defender, maybe, but decent. 2 years ago with the Memphis Grizzlies, when Ja was out and they went something like 19-2 or 20-2, Tyus Jones was killing it. You could say he was the best backup point guard in the league. He easily made that case. I would love to see him in a Clippers uniform. I'm not sure what you'd have to give up because the Chris Dunn trade seems to have a snag. Is that what is holding this back? That they want to bring in another team and have a three-way deal here? I don't know. But if you can get Tyus Jones, you get him, guys. That is an efficient point guard with a really good, I believe, assist-to-turnover ratio from last season. It wasn't 7-1, was it? Don't tell me it was 7-1. I could get even more excited. And by the way, I think it was just from one person that had this rumor. Yes, 7.3 assists to 1 turnover per game last year. And he's not even 28, I think, yet. Or he just turned 28 in May. Got 12 points per game, shot 41% from 3, 49% from the field. Baller. That would be nice. But again, I think it was one insider from hoopshype.com that said the Clippers have interest. So who knows, even if that's true, how far along they would have been. Was it just a phone call? Is it something they're really trying to get to work with Chris Dunn maybe involved from Utah too? Rock says, also a fan of Tyus, even since the Lou Will was expiring. I wanted him then. Odd logjam with Harden, Jones, Dunn, Porter Jr., even if Miller and Christie are on standby. Still believe Derrick Jones Jr. and Claw should be starting shooting guard and small forward. Well, yeah. Terrence Mann, I'd still like to see him as a starter too, next to James Harden. I don't know. Could you really play Tyus Jones next to James Harden? You'd have an undersized backcourt with two guys. And, I want to say Tyus Jones' defense has been solid. I don't know how it looked in Washington, where much more is expected of him offensively, and that's a team it's a hard reset going on. They're ways away from being a competitive basketball team. So, I would like to see Terrence Mann as a guy next to James Harden in the backcourt, with then Derrick Jones Jr. at the 3, Kawhi at the 4, Zubats at the 5. That's a really tough defensive-minded starting 5. Of course, you can say outside of James Harden, but I think you got 4 guys there that are more than enough to make up for his defensive lapses at times. Jay says, Wizards have Brogdon and Tyus Jones now. Yeah. Maybe Malcolm Brogdon will get revisited at some point. Like the trade that never was. Chuck and I did an entire live of maybe an hour long for something that never ended up happening last season, with involving, who was it? Amir Coffey was in that. Marcus Morris. Yeah, I got nixed. Because it was a 3-way. Kristaps Porzingis going to Boston. I think that worked out. Coach D Sports Review. They didn't even need him at times in the finals. What are we going to do with Bones if we get in Tyus Jones? It would probably be writing on the wall that Bones Highland is either involved in that trade or something else. I don't know. I'm preparing myself at this point. You know how much I love Bones Highland. To be one of the trade pieces that could get moved. I don't want to see it, but I'm preparing for it. There's just so many guys right now. Russell Westbrook being talked about being moved. PJ Tucker. I would not be shocked if Bones Highland, who has been up and down. I think the highs are very interesting, and there's something there, and I wouldn't be shocked if he goes somewhere else and gets consistent minutes. he can show that he can be at least a backup consistent guard in this league. But I don't know if the Clippers see it the same way, or he's in their plans at least. Back to the G League. So another guy who showed a little something in this game, somebody that I've talked about, who I was excited about seeing the Clippers bring onto their G League team, or excuse me, their Summer League team, might be in the G League, Amari Bailey. He really struggled Friday night. He's one of those guys, and I don't disagree with anything the Lob, the Jam, the podcast said about him with Lucas Hand and Dr. Shapp. Lucas and I were I was jokingly getting into it with him. He's not a UCLA guy. I'm not either, but I filled in a few times for Tim Cates post-game for UCLA games, so I was somewhat versed in what they had going on over the last few years. So I watched Amari Bailey before he came out last year, I believe, with Charlotte, and I just like the potential from him as a young guy they would go to often, even with Jaime Jaquez on that UCLA team from 2 years ago. And he could go and get you a bucket. The problem with Bailey is, can he play within the team concept? Because it looks like he gets tunnel vision far too often out there. In fact, if you watch this game, they went to him at the end of shot clocks, at the end of periods, at the end of quarters. And one time he got clamped. Another time he got a tough reverse to end the third quarter to go. But then he had an offensive foul in the second half, off-arm stuff, and a really bad turnover as well. It's just, it looks like he only has one mode to him, which is get into my bag, try to create something, and get a basket. I just don't know if he can blend with the squad. He's still young. We'll see. I wouldn't hate it if he was on their G League team, if that's where things are going right now. I'm not sure on the specifics of that. But Amari Bailey, he was better in this game overall. He finished with, I want to say he had 6 points, all 3 layups. No, 9 points. 3 of 5 from the field. Yeah, he knocked down a 3-pointer as well. So if you want talk Lucas Hand about that, since he was hating on him, by all means. One more for you. Elijah Harkless. Harkless in this game had 2 defensive possessions, and that's apparently what he's been known for in the G League. He was there with the Clippers last year. He played 20 G League games, averaged 22 minutes per game, 11 points, 46%, 47% from the floor, really. 43% from 3 he shot in the G League. But averaged a steal per game. And he clamped and got a turnover in the first half, locking up his man. Was fouled on a 3-pointer, hit the free throw, so a 4-point play for Harkless. Then he caused that turnover. He had another turnover, I believe he caused in the third quarter too. And Dante Jones was really praising him, has been praising his effort on the defensive end. So cool to see that. Just some of the guys that have been with the Clippers a little bit in Ontario, now they'll be in San Diego with the G League team. He played well. I think his point of attack defense helped set a little bit of a tone, the aggressiveness he played with. Outside of that, not a lot to speak about in this game. Again, nobody had 36, but they were still led by Jordan Miller with 21. That's a fine way to follow up that performance. I would have liked to see him still take a couple more threes. You can give yourself a heat check after hitting 6 of them Friday night. You only took 1, 0 of 1. So 4 of 12 from the field, but making hustle plays, playing good defense, that pass to Kobe Brown after he almost lost the ball in transition for the dunk, and just the relentlessness getting to the cup. That's his tool set that he has to go to. Play defense, get there in transition, also attack in the half court like we've seen these 2 games so far. Because while he was stopped there a few different times, he was fouled a ton. He just put a lot of pressure on the rim, Jordan Miller. So next G League game for the Clippers now. Yes, I'm looking this up in real time. Next summer league game. Only said that, mixed those two up a few different times here. I think they have a game on Tuesday and Thursday. Yeah, Tuesday against Milwaukee, 7 p.m. Pacific time start. It's going to be on Bally Sports. Good to see. And then Thursday against the Utah Jazz. So again, the format is this now. You play 4 games, top 4 teams in Summer League advance to a playoff with the semifinal and then the final, the 21st and the 22nd. Clippers right now have a chance to be there. If you're into this Summer League right now and a Clippers fan, keeping a close eye on this like I have been, like, why not? Why not win while you're developing and progressing? If you don't make the tournament, the playoff round, you're one of the 26 teams that doesn't. You still play a 5th game. So that to look forward to also. Clippers summer title, says Rock. Thousand. One more for you we'll read from Rock. I don't know, man. Bones, Russ, Powell, Tuck, and maybe Coffee could all be moved for cheaper contracts as they look for extensions. I think it's a very fluid situation right now, this Clippers roster. I do. Nothing set in stone at the moment, so nothing would surprise me. If you were surprised by this, continue to be amazed. I might run it back Tuesday night. Do a live tweet at Follow Adam A once again on X during the Clippers game against the Bucks in Game 3 of Summer League action. We'll do it again on Thursday. We'll see. Maybe Chuck and Will be here as well. I don't think there's any parades for the Summer League. I'd have a parade just for the Intuit Dome opening. If you look at and follow Carlo Jimenez, radio voice of the Clippers, just put together a new Instagram, TikTok, where he gives you that behind-the-scenes look of Intuit Dome. Make sure to check that out from Carlo Jimenez. All right. Before we get out of here, I do want to thank everybody that was hanging out here in the chat for the live. It's been fun doing these. Maybe it's boredom. I'm just fiending for Clippers basketball, and I will take anything that we can get. But there's a real chance, I think, especially Kobe Brown and Jordan Miller could be contributors with the big ball club this season. So the way Jordan Miller is playing, yeah, he is. I'm not going to say an unfortunate phrase. That is a real phrase that's used in finance all the time. If you know it, you can say it in the comment area afterwards, that I sometimes use too. He's on the come up. That's what it seems like right now with Jordan Miller. So Tuesday night, I think I'll be back here. I'm having fun with this. Why not? Appreciate you, Clipper Nation. Appreciate everyone for checking us out. This is at Clippers Podcast on YouTube, and then we'll have it on our X account at Clippers Pod. Again, follow me at Follow Adam A. Until our next YouTube live, likely Tuesday night, for more Summer League action. For Chuck, for Will, I'm Adam Auslund signing off. This is another edition of Clips and Dip.